All right, so now what were we doing? We were coming over to our pages. This is going to be a problem when we get other pages. But anyway, so we'll figure that here in a second. So we've got our real estate. We're going to go to our content, and then we'll just add a block at the end of our content and do our feed, which I want to change the name of that. So let's change this to feed block, feed blocks. Save that. This should go away. Add block, feed block. So then we can say more content around real estate. Then we can do content feed, not deed, feed. And then we're just going to use the feed to add blog there. So I'm going to save that, and then we can come over to our real estate, and nothing's going to pop up yet because we need to add the block. So we're going to design this, and then we're going to think through how we really want to do this industries pages, whether it's a new collection or if I need to do dynamic fields or optional catch-all. I could see the value in having the optional catch-all, but we'll see. Like having it as industries, I think is going to be important as the site builds. I can't predict the future of what the site will look like, so I don't want to assume that there won't just be a real estate page, or there won't be a industries real estate and a portfolio real estate. So there's just too much at risk there to not figure out a way to do either the category or a catch-all statement or a catch-all dynamic path. So some things to figure out there, but I can always do that in a minute. So we've got our component here. We've got an index.tsx, which we can then, instead of having children here, I can, so it's got the section there. I can then do, let's get rid of children. So this shouldn't need any props. It'll need a prop. I think it'll need blocks. So type will be props equals feed, post feed is what it's called. Yep, sure is. Okay, post feed, and then we can do props. Props don't need the React element part there. That should be all we need. So now we should be able to, I don't even think we need the props. No, we need, because what the part that we need is just the category. So const category equals, oh, I need to think this through too. All right, but we know that it's going to be props dot feed to add, and so feed to add category feed to add. Yeah, so I'm going to get the category, and then the category is going to determine what I query. So that means that this is going to need to pass down into a map. So I may have to query in this segment to see those posts, or I just need to send the block. So the block needs to go on this page like it is, and then it's going to need to take cards. The cards are going to be determined. So the feed does need to be what is querying. Totally fine. That works. All right. So we will then come up to our posts. So let's find our post blog page. So what I'm looking for is, do I have query blog? That I do. All right, so this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to use this, and this would be something that I would want to take out of the flow of the code and just use it as a like utility function or something, but we'll start with this. So we'll query blog is going to query the collection where slug, which is what we'll define because the slug is going to be to the category. If we come here, we can see what the feed to add is going to look like. So it'll be content. Okay, so then content feed to add, which is just the lowercase blog. That's perfect. Okay. So it can have more, but what it'll do is we can do our const of query, which will be, again, we're just going to take our query blog from up here because there's no real reason to reinvent the wheel. Slug limit sort. Let's go ahead and blog query component. All right, so this needs to be an async function because of that, so we can await. And then this is going to be equal to category and category there. This category and then date, yes, that still needs to be something that's a published post. And then we're going to get a response, which is going to query the blog with a limit, a sort, which we're going to do a limit of 3. But we can save this. Then we need to go to our posts and actually create some. Well, not even create. We'll just add these categories. So let's go here, categories. We'll create these categories. We'll call this one real estate. Then we will create a new one that we'll call small business. And then we will go to our posts. We'll go into each of these and we'll change this one to have a category of real estate. This one will have a category, as soon as I can get to it, of small business. And then we'll do this one to be also a category real estate. So I can save all those. So we've got our blog query equals category date, and then I think I can sort. Yes, I can sort. So I also want to make sure I sort by negative date. So that should be in descending order. And then let's go ahead and just log the response for now. So we'll log response. Oh, I haven't brought this in yet. All right, so let's go ahead and add this to our render blocks, wherever that is. Is it a component? It is not. It is where components, render blocks. There it is, index. All right, so we've got all of these. Then we have a now feed. So import feed segment. That's feed segment that I want. So feed index. It is feed segment. Okay, perfect. So we take in feed segment. Oh, but I need the slug of the component, which should just actually be feed segment. And then that should render out my blocks. We'll see in a second. That should add, it won't add anything here, I don't think. Okay, so let's try generating types real quick. Okay, pm dev. I'm hoping that error was just because I tried to do something without turning off the server. Okay, maybe not. What do we have here? So what is this supposed to be? So not that. Okay, what is this telling me? Well, it's definitely something with the feed, so I got to figure that out. It's because if I get rid of that, everything else should work. Yeah, so it does. And if I go to contact, just to make sure it's not the form that's an issue, it's not. All right, so block components, blocks feed component. I don't need this, but maybe I need that feed to add and not actually feed segment. No, because that's this here. So let's just go ahead and delete this. I don't think it's going to be important. So I don't know if it's actually feed then. So what is this? It is slug feed. So that should mean that, I wonder, so let's go to our feed here. And since I don't have anything there, but that's okay. I've just got these props. Let's go ahead and delete the props for, I need the props though for the feed to add. All right, well, let's look at one thing that I know is working. So FAQ block, yes, all of this is right. Component, yeah, so everything should be right, which tells me that maybe I just need to restart a bunch of times until it works. Let's go up to our rich text converters. Do I have the block converter in here? Let's take a look over here and we need to add a new type. So for import feed block, blocks feed config, that's correct, which tells me then I can do feed. So that is what I'm looking for. But then here, feed is going to need node feed segment node.fields. And let's see what happens. Failed to compile. All right. Wow, this really broke something. So let's go ahead and get rid of this and see if we can get it working in our anywhere. So is there something wrong with my feed segment? So if I get rid of that, got rid of that. Yes, there is. Okay, so we got to figure that out then. Let's go ahead and open this up a little bit wider. So what do we have going on? So we've got our feed segment. So very clearly something is wrong with this feed. And so what I'm trying to do right now is troubleshoot why this blog, so I have a little radio button now that will allow me to, ideally, set a category here for real estate. And then in our content, rich text, I can then add a block. Oh, I don't want to do this in a post though. In our pages, we can go to our real estate page, for example, and come down here and add a feed block, which I can then use this to add a set of blog cards for this page using whatever category is set here. But don't know why that's not working. Let's take a look then. So we can go to our feed config. It's a slug, it's feed. And then I wonder also if I want to do a categories drop down, but we'll finagle that a little bit later. So then we've got our post feed interface name, and all of that should be right. Everything looks good in the config. I'm happy with that. So our converter is what we're trying to figure out. And so here, easiest thing to test is just to get rid of our response here. Leave that how it is, and then I should be able to uncomment that. So why though? Let's comment this out and see if that helps. It does. All right, so I think there's something wrong with how we're querying things then. Let's just, let's leave that commented out. We will do const payload equals await get payload config. I don't know how I forget to do this stuff all the time. It's config promise. All right, config promise. And then we're going to get const blogs equals await payload find collection, and we'll just do posts and log this just to see what happens. So this is clearly something is happening with a client component, and for some reason I'm not able to see any kind of response here. So where is feed segment being used? Only in two places. It is a server component, so that's not an issue, and it's only being used here. Let's take a look at our show blocks again, or render blocks rather. Go to our converters. Let's go ahead and comment this out. And so here we have block type, so I need to figure that out. So go over here, let it reload and get me back in. So we can look here at our block type, and I want to look for feed. Block type is feed. So instead of feed segment, this should just be feed, as I thought. And then feed segment component failed to compile. This is also a server component. All of this is not client, so none of this should really be an issue. It's always something, you know? And then again, just so it's very clear, getting rid of that fixes that. And then what I can do is in our, where'd my feed go? Under blocks, no, I'm looking for component, there it is. So then I can get rid of this. Then I should just be able to add something like test. And when I do that, and then add our segment back in, I imagine that this is going to work. Yeah, so test. All right, so there's definitely something going on with how we're querying data. And I don't really know what it is, but that's kind of a big part of what this component is supposed to do. So what the feed needs to do is just take cards and pass in the data. So I can honestly set, can I do this? So I have the feed, which needs to take the category. Well, the category is going to be determined at the query level. So what I need to do is have these blocks query. This shouldn't be an issue because it should just be doing based on the category of what I'm providing. So let's make sure payload generate types. Let's make sure all of that stuff is good. Payload generate import map. All right, so all of that stuff was good, but now we're not seeing the ability to query anything within our component file here. And so now if I save this, let's see what happens. Yep, so it breaks again. So then what we need to do is pass up, or pass down rather, the cards here. So we have our post card, which we can then do card row. This is the problem though, because I'm not going to be able to, using a block, I'm not going to be able to determine what those cards are going to be unless I query them here. And I swear I've done this before, so I don't know why it's not working. All right, well, Let's go ahead and do that. So I can't call payload at all in here. So as soon as I get rid of payload, it just works. Okay, well then, what do we do? So we've got our test working. Can't do anything with payload. And then just to make sure, let's log our props and see what we get. Block type is feed. We get a header section. So that is easy to add. We can come down here and do header. Props.header section. And then if I refresh that, this will work automatically. Yep, there you go. So then we can do if active. No, this needs to be props.active. So then it'll show up, and then we can set our ID to be props. Oh wait, this is already added into the header, and that should be it. So then, all right, well, let's try this out then. So at the lower level, we'll have a new component in our feed components, wherever that may be. So I'm down in blocks, which is where I should be. All right, so then where did my section go? Oh, I deleted it. That's where it went. All right, so we hit that, and then we're gonna hit a new TypeScript, and we'll do a feed item, or I guess feed.tsx. I don't know. This should just work in one file, but for some reason it's not. So then we're gonna do export async function. Yeah, I guess get feed makes sense. And then we're going to take in a string that's going to be feed to add. And then here we're going to try and query payload. So let's start with that. So I know that's going to break stuff if I let it refresh. Let's do all of this actually. Take all of that, come over here to our feed, and just see what happens. First we need to come here and then add test. So this needs to be get feed, save component, do get feed. Oh boy, export async function, get feed, feed to add, import. Don't know why that didn't happen before. And then I need to do our props dot feed to add. So this is the same thing, even when it's down a level. What else is this error? Not that it really matters because I'm still getting an error. Cannot be used as a JSX component. It's not a JSX element type. Oh, I think part of the problem here is I need to return something. But now, like, I still just get this error. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is why live coding drives me crazy. Like, this should be something that should not be this hard, but for some reason, whenever you go live stream on YouTube, this just kind of stuff happens. But as soon as I get rid of that query, it just works automatically. So I would have to find a way to add that content to this block without querying payload at the component level for whatever reason. Not exactly sure why. I have a feeling that it's a Next.js problem. So let's take a look and figure out what's going on. So got if props active. So if it's active, it'll return something, but for some reason it won't return anything that has payload in it. What version am I on? 3.16. I don't think this is going to be what fixes it, but I don't need upload thing. Let's just make sure. So we'll go to the newest version, even though I haven't done a video on 3.20 yet. And then we can do npmi. So we'll let those be installed, refresh, hope for the best. Okay, yep, so that still doesn't work. I see all the errors coming up here, so that's right there. Okay, so, all right, so I see this other error, mismatching lexical dependency. I don't think I have lexical installed separately. If I do, I will get rid of it. So I did that, and we'll try this again. So do pmi. Wait, I deleted lexical, or did I delete something else? So I don't really want 3.20. So let's change that back to where we were, since it's not something that actually fixed my issue. So for future reference, do not install lexical separately. You should let it be just installed through the rich text lexical package here from Payload CMS. Otherwise, you get some mismatching stuff. So here we need to think through what we need to do for this feed, which I did not expect to spend this much time on. And so what I'm trying to do is on this page, like real estate or for small business, I want to be able to take the slug, which in this case is real estate, and use that to query my post category, which will then allow me to just include content there. But what it's seeming like, and for some reason, I don't know why, it seems like I'm going to have to either create a new collection, which will allow me to, instead of using a block, use just regular JSX code without having like our block editor, or figure out how to make this work. So we'll see what we can do. So that works. I don't see any blogs coming through though, which tells me, okay, so I have get feed commented out. So what's happening now is get feed is breaking this because module not messages. Oh, that's theirs. And the problem is in get image size, source blocks feed component feed.tsx. I go there. Yep. All right. So then it's also in feed component, which is there, render blocks index, and then it goes, okay. So I wonder then if the issue is actually in my forms. We can do blocks here, and I think then, so let's go to message, fields, message. Okay, form state. Nope, so it's not going to be anything there, so why? So form, if we go to our message index, serialized lexical is just the wrong thing in general. So this actually, so maybe this is the issue, maybe it's not. But this needs to be our rich text, and then we need to do data, message. Okay, so that's fixed there. And then let's do it again in our, okay. So there's something going on. I need to take this over here. I think my old serializer is still showing up. It sure is. So, and I'm doing the search everywhere, which I just recently discovered in JetBrains software, that you can't filter out anything that is like all of your private information. So if I were to search for something, I can actually make sure that it's not true here. Using the search everywhere function here, hopefully sometimes my API keys can show. So I wanted to make sure that that wasn't happening. So we just need to get rid of all these serialized lexical. So this should be rich text. And I thought I did this like twice now, and they just keep showing up. And then get rid of all that. And then here to do globals dot sticky banner dot content. And then this type check needs to actually be brought out. Oh, wrong way. Maybe it's not the wrong way. Okay, just do it this way. Oh, too far. Type check should be up here. Perfect. It's all the same. Wrong. There we go. This is the actual thing, so that can stay for now. And then this should be rich text. This should be data. Get rid of that. All right, look at that. All right, so we're making good progress. I feel dumb sometimes with this, but that's okay. I don't have to be smart all the time. Sometimes with Next.js and Payload, you can feel like a glutton for punishment because things just don't work like they're supposed to sometimes. All right, so that means I don't need this. We've got our test. So now we should be able to use our query blog here, come up to get our category. So now when this refreshes, that's my fault. I need to see what the actual field is called. It may not actually be category. So in our posts, and then, why? Yeah, so it's called category. I guess maybe it needs to be in category. Here, let's just get some things querying real quick. Cool. So I can see that I have 3 out of 6 docs, put a limit to 3, and then I can map those out like we've done before.